Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 677. It's a short one, but it's good. Hello, everybody. On this episode of the Juicebox Podcast, Jenny Smith and I will be defining hyper and hypo as it relates to all things, not just diabetes. Please remember while you're listening that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. I'm going to just ask you the briefest of favors. If you are a U.S. citizen who has type 1 diabetes or is the caregiver of someone with type 1 diabetes, please go to t1dexchange.org/juicebox. When you get there, join the registry, take the survey, takes fewer than 10 minutes. I would consider it a personal favor. t1dexchange.org/juicebox. If you're enjoying the Juicebox Podcast, please share it with someone who you think might also enjoy it. If you're loving the Defining Diabetes series, there are so many of them to choose from right there in your podcast player or at diabetesprotip.com. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by US Med. US Med is a place where you get diabetes supplies. And they do it better. They offer you better service and better care than you're accustomed to getting. All you need to do to get a free benefits check is to go to usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Scott.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
Good. Have you seen the little animations of you and I talking on Instagram and TikTok yet?
I have. I saw when you originally showed me what was going to be there, but I have not seen recently because I have to admit I'm not a TikTok or Instagrammer.
Well,
so
the person making the video is Maggie, who is a great young artist whose sister has type 1 diabetes. She has now added what I'm going to call googly eyes to us. So while we're talking now, the eyeballs move around inside of the eyes.
Oh, no.
I'm absolutely enamored by it. So
I'm sure that if I showed it to my boys, they would probably think it was the coolest thing in the world.
To see your voice coming out of a cartoon. Yeah. Well,
yes.
All right. Well, you should check it out. I don't think you should get on TikTok because I have to tell you, it really is a time suck. It is the scrolling. I got it just to put the stuff, for the podcast up. And then I'm scrolling and I'm like, oh my God, I can see how people get lost in this. It's fascinating. So
yes, I have.
Yeah, stay away.
I have more things that I need to do than that.
Yeah.
So, yes.
If you're not on TikTok, you're doing okay, I think. I was hoping today that we could define something that, in all honesty, I had skipped over. I had made a list and thought this isn't necessary, but it is. So we're going to do it. I want to define hypo and hyper, just those words, and then we'll attach them to diabetes and a couple of other things so, everybody understands. Isabel helping me with the Facebook page, she said, I know this seems basic, but you really could use an episode on what hyper and hypothyroidism is. People ask, especially newly diagnosed people, and we don't have anywhere to send them. So here we are.
Right. Awesome.
Okay, so let's start super simple, right? We're just going to use the dictionary. Hypo is a noun, and it means
under or beneath a level of where you want to be, right? And yes, yeah. Hypoglycemia, hypothyroid, hypo, many other medical terms that come along with hypo. It is it's low, right? It's under where a level of comfort would be.
I also should have said, and this is going to be a good indication to all of you, that I stopped paying attention to my English teacher in about 7th grade, but it actually can be used as a verb as well. But we mostly think of it as a prefix. Under, beneath, down, less than normal, in a lower state of oxidation, for example, in a low and usually the lowest position in a series of compounds. So glycemia, I didn't think of this, but darn it. Let's define glycemia for a minute. Why not? I don't even think glycemia is a word, right? It is. The presence of glucose in the blood. Now I'm learning.
Yes.
Oh, I like this podcast. Okay. Jenny,
then you can put them together. Low presence of glucose in the blood.
Yeah, Jenny,
Hypoglycemia.
I was going to say I would listen to this podcast.
There you go.
Okay, so glycemia, the presence of glucose in the blood. So hypo, beneath normal, less than normal presence of glucose in the blood, and then hyper, which if anyone's ever had a hyper kid, this won't sound crazy. Highly excited, extremely active, excessively excessive. That is or exists in a space of more than 3 dimensions. That one doesn't really. Oh, I guess like hyperspace. Oh yeah. I really should have paid attention in school. This is all very interesting. I feel like an idiot. Okay, but excessive is where we're going to ride on this. So hyperglycemia, excessive presence of glucose in the blood. That's it. Now, why somebody couldn't just call it high blood sugar and low blood sugar? Smart people, doctors, they fancy up the words. Right.
Well, and they're just medical terms, right? I mean, hyper and hypo, even in the sense of other medical conditions that carry that same prefix, if you will, they're just a medical term rather than saying high and low blood sugar or high and low blood glucose. Even I also think just glucose and sugar, right? Yeah. I mean, when you say my blood sugar is this, some people say my blood glucose is this. It's just another word for the same thing.
Do you have a preference personally when you write it out and someone else is going to say it? Do you think blood glucose or blood sugar? How do you write it out?
I abbreviate BG because that's my quick way to type up something.
So after writing blogs for so long, I did the same thing. But in the beginning, I had this does blood sugar sound, I don't know. Does it not sound, I don't know, appropriate or something like that? But I don't think of it now. It's however it comes off my fingers when I'm typing, when I'm talking to somebody, I don't think of it one way. I don't care.
I guess if I think about when I write about it, when I'm writing more professionally, I use the term blood glucose. And when I'm writing more from just a general kind of public, I typically use blood sugar.
Okay.
Not that people don't know what glucose is, especially within the diabetes realm. I just think that blood sugar is often more what we say. Yeah. And so it's more readable. I don't know if that makes sense.
Too. Yeah. I think it just makes it feel more affable, honestly, just available to people. As an example, and we're not going to turn this into a 3rd grade English lesson, but hypothyroidism is a condition in which the thyroid gland doesn't produce enough thyroid hormone. So back to hypo, low, less, etc. Hyperthyroidism, the overproduction of a hormone by the butterfly-shaped gland in the neck called the thyroid. Excessive, too much. I just pulled up a couple of other words to make the point that it's not always about medicine. Hyperbole, as the example, is an exaggerated statement or claim not meant to be taken literally. Hyper, right, is the prefix. My last thought is just to get it way away. And Jenny used to be a nurse, right? Jenny, what is hypoperfusion?
I'm going to correct you. I wasn't a nurse, or I'm not a nurse. I'm a dietitian.
Damn it. Sorry. Is that not the same thing?
Oh, well, all right. If I had thought that when I was going to school, then I probably would have ended up being a nurse. But a bit different.
May I make a suggestion?
Sure.
We'll have to add CDE to the Defining Diabetes series.
That would be great because you can have many credentials that precede CDE, which is actually not CDE even anymore. It's now CDCES, Certified Diabetes Care and Education Specialist, to make it even more complicated than it ever was.
Have you given over to that yet? Because you said you were going to fight it in the beginning.
In credentialing, just in terms of my signature and the way that I, put, again, sort of publications and that kind of stuff out, I do. But I still call myself a CDE because that's just like what I've been long term.
I have to say, I like these. Oh my gosh. I've gone to hot tea and it doesn't matter.
Oh no.
I'm just going to start drinking scalding water when I'm recording from now on. I'll drip a little lemon in it and pour it down my throat. I was going to say I like the free-flowingness of our conversations because my just misspeaking for a second immediately made my brain go, hey, why are we not defining this stuff for people? Because people all the time say, who'd you see today? I don't know. I saw the lady. You know what I mean? Like the doctor. Is the doctor an endocrinologist? I don't know. What's the woman? I don't know. Like she writes the prescriptions. It seems like she's got a medical degree.
I saw these people and they told me to do this and I don't necessarily know what they are. In fact, in terms of like that defining of even clinicians, many endo offices now sort of transition off and on between you see the endo, you see the nurse practitioner, or you see the endo, or you see the PA, a physician's assistant, right? And you go back and forth. So it's not every 3 or 4 months you're seeing the same endo. You may see them only twice a year. And in between, you actually follow up with the nurse practitioner, the physician's assistant, because that's the time that they have.
And so my brain, like I know you have a firm background in nutrition. Like I understand all that. And I guess my brain just was like, well, she's a CDE. She must have had to have been a nurse in the middle of it. And no. So, okay. So no. we have more stuff. Anyway,
there were things in nursing school that I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to ever do that to a person. So no, I'm not going to be a nurse.
Well, then just for fun.
I very much appreciate the nurses who do and can do those types of things, but that's not me. I can do blood. You could bleed all over me. I could do wounds, weird looking gashes.
Where's the line? Pee?
Line is mucus.
Oh, I wish you could have saw the face Jenny just made. We should make it a poster. Her head turned sideways, yes. Her tongue came out, or one of her eyes went one way. She's like, oh.
Yes, no. I was an ICU dietitian, so I did like tube feedings and IV nutrition and all that kind of stuff. And I would have to move away when they were doing like suctioning of patients and stuff. The noises and
not for you.
Not for me. Nope. I'll come back. Thank you.
My wife is like 3 clinicals away from being an RN. And I mistakenly got her pregnant before she could finish up. So
yes, I do remember that.
She never got back to it. But she even said that she thought by the time if she would have finished, she's like, I don't think I could have like actually helped people. Like it just wasn't her vibe. And it wasn't about the people. It was more about that stuff. Okay. But anyway, just for shits and giggles, do you know what hypoperfusion is? Now that I brought it up, because if not, I got to tell people.
Well, and why? I'm curious actually why.
Because it had the word hypo in it. And I thought, I wonder if Jenny will just randomly know what this is.
Oh, well, it has to do with like blood flow. It's hyper is more and hypo is a reduction in the amount of blood flow.
Listen,
that's it.
This is why you're listening to the podcast, because Jenny knows stuff about stuff she doesn't know about. Hypoperfusion has nothing to do with diabetes, but it describes a reduced amount of blood flow. There you go.
Yes.
If you can't trust somebody who knows stuff they're not supposed to know, who are you supposed to trust?
Correct.
All right.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was good. That was hilarious. Actually,
that's always fun.
Good time. All right. Hypoperfusions. I'm getting rid of tabs on my.
Yeah. Are we stalled for a second?
Yeah.
I need to, I think I forgot my orange link in my kitchen.
Go get it.
And I need to go grab it because my loop is red right now. So I'll be right back.
Go. Yeah. No problem. While Jenny's off getting her orange link, I'm going to tell you about today's sponsor, US Med. Just the other day, I had Omnipod send Arden's prescription for Omnipod 5 over to US Med. All of this happened without problems. That's what we want, right? Nice and easy access to our supplies. US Med offers that with their white glove treatment. US Med accepts Medicare nationwide and over 800 private insurers. They carry everything from insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies to the latest CGMs like Freestyle Libre 2 and the Dexcom G6. US Med always provides 90 days worth of supplies with that fast, free shipping that I've been telling you about. If you want better service and better care than you've been accustomed to getting with your other suppliers, check out US Med. They've helped over 1 million diabetes customers since 1996, are the number one rated distributor in Dexcom customer satisfaction surveys, the number one specialty distributor for Omnipod DASH, the number one distributor for Freestyle Libre, and the number one fastest growing tandem distributor nationwide. US Med. Get your free benefits check right now. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514. There are links to US Med and all of the sponsors in the podcast player show notes that you're listening in right now or at juiceboxpodcast.com. And don't forget to take that T1D Exchange survey at t1dexchange.org/juicebox. When you support T1D Exchange, you're helping people with type 1 diabetes and you're supporting the Juicebox Podcast. Keep the show free and plentiful by supporting the sponsors. On next week's Defining Diabetes, Jenny and I will be defining all of the different types of diabetes, and there are more than you think. To find a list of all of the Defining Diabetes episodes, go to Juicebox Podcast Type 1 Diabetes on Facebook. It's a private group for people who listen to this podcast. And right there at the top of the page, you click on a little tab called, where the fuck is it? God, I can never remember the name of this. I'm going to curse. I don't want to curse. I'm just trying to finish this ad and I'm done for the week when I get this done. Like, I actually get a day off tomorrow. I mean, I still have to record, but I don't have to edit. And I just want to tell you the name of this featured. You go to the Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes. It's a private Facebook group, almost 25,000 people in it. They use insulin. They chat with each other. They help each other. And under the featured tab at the top, there's lists of episodes in different series, including the Defining Diabetes episodes. So if I didn't sound too crazy just then, maybe you'll go check them out. I didn't want to curse. It's the end of my week and I had knee surgery. I'm feeling okay, but I'm not supposed to be sitting here right now. I'm supposed to have my foot. This is not your problem. Just go find it. It's Juicebox Podcast, Type 1 Diabetes. It's a private group. Answer a couple questions. You get right in. It really is a magical place. I'm not kidding. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.